But right now we have David Mann, Chairman of the Mount Macedon Memorial Reserve Committee of Management for the Mount Macedon Memorial Cross. Now, we're in dire straits here because this is recognised as the second most important feature for honouring those that lost their lives, to preserve Western civilisation, to prevent things coming onto our shores here in Australia by dealing with issues overseas. And it also celebrates everybody that was involved, including those at home who kept our nation going. David, welcome to the show.
Thank you, and good morning, Cheryl, to you and to all your listeners.
Thank you. David, what an extraordinary role you have as chairman of this committee. First question that comes to mind for me, though, is we have the Shrine of Remembrance, an extraordinary feat, particularly given the period that it was built. Why do we need a second one?
Good question, and the Shrine of Remembrance is just amazing. I mean, it's world class, and people who go there just say, wow, we cannot believe it. And I'm talking about, Victorians, Australians, people from around the world. But it's nice to think of regional, rural Victoria, and in fact across Australia there are other great memorials. And the man who lived at Cameron Lodge, and he actually thought at the end of World War I he'd like to pay tribute to those who paid the ultimate sacrifice, those who lost their life in World War I. And he could see from his home, a beautiful home that still exists at Mount Macedon, the top of Mount Macedon, and he built a cross there. And the cross was for honouring those who had paid the ultimate sacrifice and those who returned in World War I. And he just thought, I will do it. It's well overdue, and it's even more well overdue now to honour those who have served in the Army, the Navy and the Air Force. And it was simply a gentleman who had the money. He was a very successful businessman, and he wanted to sit on his porch and see the cross at night and remember.
Now, interesting. So if he built that himself, given the issues that you've currently got, which we'll get to in just a moment, was there engineering involved in 1935, or was it something that he did without that necessity?
No, he didn't build it. He funded it, and a group of people built the cross and built it very well. I've got to say, back then, it was quite a feat because it's a very, very big structure. And it's in an area that has all types of weather, whether it's the rain, the hail, the sleet, the snow, the wind, and it's a beautiful area. I must declaration of interest. I love the Macedon Ranges, but the people who built it did a good job. But the problem was, in 1983, we suffered through Ash Wednesday, and the cross was severely affected then, and we had a cyclone fence around it for a lot of time, and it had to be rebuilt again. And thank you to Bruno and Reno Grollo and family. They did that for us. So, no, he wasn't a builder. He had the right people do it. And in those days, it would have been a massive effort because it was tiles. Now it's a solid structure, but it was tiles. So, a big job.
So what we're saying is that we have this outstanding cross in regional Victoria where people can attend, and you've just shared with us, which is very, very important, that it's people from all over Australia but also internationally that come to honour those that lost their lives and fought for our freedoms, and they come for the ANZAC Day Memorial Service. So it is quite an important feature for Victoria and Australia broadly. Why do we have a problem? What's happening now?
Well, just to add to that, Cheryl, it's important for your listeners to know something that we did as trustees some years ago and now as Committee of Management, that we had the charter changed with the blessing of all concerned, not only to honour those from World War I, but to honour those from all conflicts. So some of your listeners may have relatives who fought in World War II or Borneo or Afghanistan, Vietnam, the Falklands, the list goes on and on. So it's now to honour all those serving in all areas, past and present, and particularly today, because I can say it, none of our Australian Defence Force personnel have tickets on themselves, but there needs to be more honour for what they do. The men and women are quite remarkable, their service to this country and around the world. They're deployed, as we're speaking now, on your radio program. They're deployed all around the world, looking after us and looking after our allies. So that has changed dramatically, the significance of it. And yes, it is ANZAC Day, up to 3,000 people. Remembrance Day, a very big following too. But it's simply a place of remembrance where people come along and they know about it. And unfortunately, at the moment, there's a cyclone fence around it, so you can't get near the cross. But a place of remembrance. It's also a tourist attraction where some people don't even know about the significance. They come to see the view of Melbourne, they come to walk through the regional park and walk on the walking tracks, and all of a sudden they start reading the plaques, and people go, oh, wow, now we know what this is about. I spent a lot of time there, and all of a sudden I end up talking to people from all walks of life, and they go, we really didn't know the history, and there is a lot of history involved.
Isn't that fascinating that people are saying they don't know the history? And it's not just the history of this memorial, but it's also the history of, as you said, so many servicemen and women who are fighting for our freedoms. And the conversations aren't rich enough, I would suggest, in communities by and large. We have this special one day, and then it's a bit like the grand final, isn't it? You attend, you have a lot of fun, and then you get on with life. And, the footballers get on with training for the next season. It's all over. We need so much more education on this so that people are very much behind you and your committee in making sure we have these places to honour and grieve those that we've lost.
Well, Cheryl, it's interesting you say that, because one of the aims is we need $200,000 to complete the restoration, the maintenance and all the safety aspects of it that we've had in place. But unfortunately, when they were doing it, it was funded, and then they struck rock and stabilisation issues, and that's where we're $200,000 short. That we will raise. I'm a very determined person. The committee is all honorary. They've given so many hours of their time over so many years, and it's probably almost a legacy to those. I had some wonderful chair people of the trustees, and I've been involved for over 30 years now, but it's a mission that is bigger than that. It's complete it, get it open, but then another wonderful thing would be to have an educational and welcome centre built next to the tea rooms that people of all ages, all cultural, linguistic backgrounds can come along and, these days it's all sort of electronic things you tap on and a QR code, and it'll explain the history of our Australian Defence Force personnel, to explain the history of the cross. At the moment, all we've got, as you walk in, there's a gateway and there's some photographs that were taken when it was rebuilt, but it would be wonderful for young people to know, because I was working in America recently, and your listeners would know, those who travel, that there you are standing in the gate lounge at Los Angeles Airport, and they'll say, Delta flight departing to San Diego, please all our veterans, please board first. And people actually just look and applaud, and obviously it's the women and the children, but anybody, you just feel so proud. But we've got Commodore Greg York, who was the most senior naval officer in Victoria on our committee, and I watch him on ANZAC Day where he comes up and he stands there in his uniform, very proud, and Ed Storinskas, who is an Assistant Chief Fire Officer with Fire Rescue Victoria. Before he was a firefighter, he was a Navy clearance diver. And I look at both of them, I watch the body language, and then I listen to their words at the end of the service. And that's who it's all about. Those are the people who have served. Indeed.
My partner is a Navy veteran, and he served on the USS Midway, and had a very similar feeling and feel when we went over and explored the Midway, which is in San Diego for our listeners, and it is a museum now. And so you can go on and have a tour through that, and of course nothing better than have a tour from someone that lived on the ship. And the number of people that said, thank you for your service. I don't hear that in Australia, and it was a constant. It was just, really heartwarming. So I couldn't agree more.
One of the parts I was at was Las Vegas, and I did 7 shows in 7 nights, and 6 of the shows paused And it didn't matter whether it was Sir Paul McCartney or Sir Rod Stewart or Wayne Newton or Air Supply or Donny Osmond. They pause and they thank the veterans in the middle of a show. Not overstated, doesn't go on for 2 minutes or 3 minutes. It's a pause. They don't have to say anything and people applaud straight away. And it's very, very touching. And I don't know your partner, but if he's listening now, thank you, sir, for your service.
Excellent, thank you. Now, just on that, we're talking about education here as well, and the point that you're making is that, yes, you're requiring $200,000 for repairs of this beautiful Shrine of Remembrance. Now, the Education Centre itself, have you been in talks with the Australian War Memorial Service and, the Shrine in Melbourne and the facilities that they already have, so that we're not having to double up, but more so share? A bit like, I'm thinking of the Arts Centre and how we, different arts works of art essentially are taken on tour around the world. And I'm not saying that we can go on tour around the world, but surely there's a way in which they can also financially support you or support you in kind.
It's a question that we've asked of a lot of people, and we've been very well supported, not so much financially, but in a written sense saying, yes, do what you can, because the Shrine of Remembrance is always looking for funds because it's a major, major memorial that needs updating all the time. So they are very proud of what we're doing, but obviously, haven't been able to help financially. We've had great support from the veterans community, great support from the RSL, great support from the state government in the veterans area for our initial grant. But it's a case of, if we manage to establish a welcome centre and an educational centre, that's probably a fair way down the track, but you have to have dreams. You've got to sort of aim for the stars and settle on the horizon, if you like. But it's something that people do very well. We have the beautiful Bendigo Arts Centre, and we have other amazing centres around Victoria, because not everybody gets to Melbourne. In fact, a lot of people I've spoken to, when I stand at the cross when it's open or on ANZAC Day, I say, have you ever been to the Shrine for the service or been? And they say, no, we haven't been to the Shrine of Remembrance. And I said, well, you should go there. It's magnificent. So it's something that we have tapped into. A lot of people, local members, people from all political persuasions have helped us with letters of endorsement. Parks Victoria have been fantastic. It's just frustrating that you go up there now and there's this cyclone fence around it. People go, we can't get near the cross. Well, because of safety aspects, no. But once we raise the funds, the balustrades will be in place, the stabilisation will be completed, and the fence will come down, the scaffolding will come down, and it will be a very emotional day, because all the Committee of Management, and so far we've had some people who have... I'll actually say his name because he doesn't mind, but a gentleman called Paul Wheelton, he's got post-nominals after his name, AM KSJ, he heard about it, and he, like me, did not serve, so I missed Vietnam by a year with the Marbles, and so I haven't served, and he hasn't served in the Australian Defence Force, and he said, we've just got to do it. And I said, well, anything you can do. And he started the appeal with a $10,000 donation. $10,000. But I listened to what Paul said about why he made the donation, and it really was just wonderful to hear it from somebody who's proud, somebody who wants things to exist, and for his children, his grandchildren. So, it's wonderful. You go there. There were two ladies came up the walking track when I was there recently, and they were from Port Arlington. And they said, wow, we've come up the track, we've read the sign, why it's closed at the moment, but how can we help? And I said, well, there's a GoFundMe page, and we now have DGR1 status, so it makes it a lot easier for people because it's a tax deductibility. And they said, well, we're going to go back down the walking track to our car, get on our mobile and make a donation. And then another couple from Gippsland, they just wanted the history of where our people are today. And when I started telling them some of the deployments of the Australian Army, the Royal Australian Air Force and the Royal Australian Navy, they went, wow. And they, without me even talking about the appeal, said, how can we help? And, you meet people, and it's a real experience.
Indeed. And you're mentioning Paul Wilton. He's the gentleman involved in budget, isn't he? Budget rental cars?
Yes. He started off as an accountant for Bob ANZAC and at Budget, and Mr. ANZAC challenged him to get his own dealership, which he did, and now he has many of them, budget car and truck rentals. But he's no tickets on himself. He's one of the most amazing Australian people you could ever meet, and his philanthropic arm has helped schools, libraries, people overseas, the Bali Children's Foundation, and so many people here. He's just a quiet achiever, but it's interesting when he's asked for money by a lot of people. I'm not very good at asking people to give money, but when he heard about the appeal, which was only just launched recently, he said, "No, this is what I'm doing." And another veteran, a gentleman who's based in Frankston, is now very much across it. In fact, he and I had a very emotional discussion, and who knows, he may contribute too.
Now, interestingly, and that's something I didn't say when I introduced you, David, you're also a member of the Order of St John, which is what the KSJ stands for, Knight of St John. And you've mentioned Paul Wilton. I understand that Sam Muscat is on your committee, so Sam Muscat is also a member of the Order of St John. And I too have been knighted, so I'm a Dame of the Order of St John. And that in itself is extraordinary, that here we are sharing those people that are committed to this, and it goes to the history of that order, doesn't it? And how we got where we are today, and that's people that risk their lives to bring people in from combat back in the 10th century.
Well, I think the order, one of the underlying factors is, and I haven't had the pleasure of meeting you, Cheryl, but Sam Muscat, an amazing gentleman, and one of your personalities on 88.9 Win FM. But it's about giving back, so all this is honorary, and you feel good. It takes up a lot of time, it takes meetings, it takes a lot of paperwork. We have a lady, Kate Medhurst, who is a secretary for the committee. Oh, my goodness, the email trail, the phone calls, everything. I mean, just to achieve the DGR1 status is a very, very long, complicated, but worthy process, because eventually when it was granted, it was probably the best Christmas present I've ever had in my life, because it was the day before Christmas, and that makes it easier for a lot of the foundations or philanthropists to donate. But it's the Order of St John is about people who believe in humanity, like giving back, whether it's mentoring or simply helping the various charities. And I went to a Christmas dinner out at Kew Golf Club with the people, and every single person inspired me. They were talking about what I do. I said, no, I'm quite insignificant compared to some of the people in this room. And it's just wonderful, and it's probably something I've said to young people. We had some issues some time back with some graffiti and things that happen in life. And anyway, I said to a few of the young people around the area, when you're up there, because they go up the walking tracks and they take their friends up there, I said, well, you can become ambassadors. You can keep your eyes and ears open for anybody who's doing the wrong thing, or you might even like to read the little book and find out the history and explain it to people. And a few of the young people have come on board and gone, yeah, we love that, Mr. Mann. And I said, well, please call me David, thank you. And we've got some little pins now that Sam's put together that we'll sell. And look, $2, $3, $5, it takes a long time to raise $200,000, but to get people in the area involved, there's so many good things in Macedon, Mount Macedon and surrounding areas. So there's causes everywhere, from Men's Shed through to the Rotary and the Lions Club and Probus and every other thing. So it's a case of good people give their quality time, and I'm very, very appreciative.
David, thank you so much for sharing this wonderful, wonderful initiative, and congratulations for you in keeping this going, and the team that you've got around you. And for our listeners, they can donate at the Bendigo Bank Gisborne branch, and there's also a GoFundMe page that you can access online. And David, I wish you all the very, very best, and I'm sorry I didn't catch up with you at the Q Christmas party. I was there too, but nevertheless, I've no doubt we will catch up very soon. And again, my congratulations to all of you. And for our listeners, if you've got $2 to spare, 200, 2,000, give some thought to donating to this incredible cause. Thanks, David.
Cheryl, thank you, and thank you to your listeners for anything they can do. Awareness is one thing, finance is another, but I love the catchphrase for your program, and I'm probably going to use it in life too. Stay curious, be courageous, and that's what the men and women who have served this country have really done. So thank you, Cheryl, and thank you to 88.9 Win FM for giving me some airtime. I appreciate it.
Wonderful. Thanks again, David.